All right, let's just jump right in. I want to start with a question, one that might make you, well, think a little differently. Have you ever really stopped to consider that the internet, this thing we've all been told is free, might not have been free at all? Ever?
Yeah, that's the big question we're going to dig into. It's time to kind of pull back the curtain on one of the most powerful ideas of our time. And you know, the story we were told was just beautiful, wasn't it? This idea of a new frontier, a space with no borders, no walls, where we could all connect.
It was sold to us as this magical place where, finally, everyone had a voice, where ideas could just flow, without some big company slapping their brand on it.
But here's where it gets a little awkward. If it was this wide open free space, why did it slowly start to feel, well, different? Why did the open frontier start to feel more like a giant, personalized digital shopping mall where you're constantly being guided toward the next thing?
And that brings us right here. We need to talk about the real price of free, because this is the moment the entire economic model of the internet just flipped.
So here's the big secret. The internet was never really ownerless. It was just empty. There weren't any huge economic players there yet. That feeling of freedom we all loved? It wasn't because there were no rules. It was because nobody with deep pockets had figured out how to make money there yet.
And then came the turning point, the big one, the moment when companies realized that our attention, our eyeballs, were a currency, a really, really valuable one. Because whoever controls your attention, well, they control a whole lot.
So these platforms come along and they promise us free everything. But the deal was never about money. The actual price you were paying? It was your time, it was your data, it was your behavior. That was the real transaction.
And because of that, the whole structure of the internet changed. That open public square we imagined, it splintered. It became a whole bunch of privately owned spaces, like little walled gardens, each with their own rules designed to keep you inside.
Which leads us, naturally, to the main tool of control on the modern internet. Let's talk about the algorithm, our new digital gatekeeper. Think about it. It used to be that you chose what you wanted to see. Now, something chooses for you, and it calls it a recommendation. That's the algorithm's job. It's basically the bouncer at the club of information, deciding what you get to see and what just disappears.
And the way it decides is actually super simple. It's all about one thing: engagement. If a piece of content gets a reaction, a click, a share, a comment, anything that holds your attention, it gets pushed to the top. Everything else, no matter how true or important, is basically allowed to fade away into invisibility.
And this is the part you really gotta understand. The algorithm isn't trying to show you the best stuff. It's not showing you the most important stuff. Its only job is to show you the most effective stuff at keeping you glued to the screen. And that one little detail changes absolutely everything.
So, what does all of this mean for that big original promise, freedom of speech? Well, it means our freedom online isn't quite as free as we think. It's become conditional. Look, of course the internet has given a voice to millions who never had one. That's true. But that freedom comes with some fine print. You can say whatever you want, as long as it plays by the company's rules, as long as it doesn't tick off the advertisers, and most importantly, as long as it doesn't hurt the profits. This isn't your grandfather's censorship where they just delete your post. Oh no, it's way more subtle than that. It's things like shadow banning, where your stuff is made invisible to everyone else and you don't even know it. This quote just says it all. They don't have to silence you, they just have to make sure no one is listening. So you end up with this really strange situation. You have the right to speak, sure, your voice is there, but the platform holds the dial that controls who actually hears you. And if they turn that dial almost all the way down to zero, is that really freedom? It's a quiet but incredibly powerful form of control. But hey, just when you think you've figured it out, the game changes again. If algorithms were about reacting to what you do, the next step, the one being powered by AI, is all about predicting what you're going to do.
You can see the whole journey right here. We went from an internet where you chose where to go to one where an algorithm recommended a path for you. And now we're heading towards an internet that puts things on your path before you even know you want them.
The AI is learning your patterns so well, it can anticipate your next move. It doesn't even wait for you to search for something anymore. It just serves it up. And the weirdest part? It's also convenient that you barely even notice it's happening. It's too easy to question.
And that right there reveals the most brilliant rule of modern control. The system doesn't have to trap you if it can just make you too comfortable to ever want to leave. It's not a prison,
It's more like strategic comfort. And let's be honest, that is a way more effective method of control.
So let's wrap this up. Look, this isn't some story about evil robots taking over. It's just about being aware. It's about understanding how these systems that we use every single day actually work. Because being conscious is always the first step to anything.
So let's go all the way back to that first question. Was the internet ever really free? Well, the answer is kind of complicated. Free for anyone to get on and have a profile? Yes. Free for us to create things? For the most part, yeah. But was it ever free from control, from power, from somebody's agenda? Nope, never.
The point of all this isn't to make you want to throw your phone in a river. The goal is just to open our eyes, to be conscious users of these tools, not just automatic ones. So the real question, the one I want to leave you with, is this. Now that you can see the architecture a little more clearly, what are you going to look for?